lot of people don't understand what it's like to be in professional show business. So they come up and they ask us questions like this. They actually come up to you and they say, do you have a real job? And of course, we always reply, oh no, this is it, 100%. You know, of course, what you really want to say is, piss off. And then you show them your bank account and make them cry, right? That's it. So I could tell you about, and this is actually a famous guy that I work with who taught me a musician's code. I'd become single for the first time in my career. And, you know, and as you can probably guess, in my career, we get offered a lot of extracurricular things. So here I found myself single for the first time as a professional musician, and I thought, right, I'm going to make this count. And I spoke to a friend of mine, and I said, what do I need to know? And he said, you need to know two things. There's a red book and a black book. I said, okay. He said, the black book. He said, they're coming for me. He said, that's right. He said, the black book is this one. He said, the black book is the one where you phone him up and you say, look, I got a show in town, your town, this Friday night. Would you like to go out for dinner, or would you like to come to the show? Or, I got a show, I'm out of town this weekend, would you like to come along too? He said, the red book is the one where 3 a.m. you're driving home and you'd send him a text. Are you awake? I'll let that sink in for a minute. But I thought the best story I could tell you was probably a personal experience. Now, I do have to warn you, musicians' stories I've found over the years fall into two categories. The first category is ones that sound completely unbelievable but are actually true. And the other ones that sound completely believable but actually aren't. Right? So those are the two categories. So you can decide how much of this next story is true and how much of it is made up. All right? So I work on cruise ships, not a lot anymore, but there was a time when I worked on cruise ships. Now, by a show of hands, how many of you here have worked on a cruise ship before? All right? How many of you have been on a cruise ship before? All right, so a few of you. Now, you'll know that on a cruise ship, there's two types of entertainers, right? There's a type that stay on for 3 to 6 months. These are mostly young people. They're dancers, they're singers, and they do all kinds of things. And they stay on for 3 to 6 months at a time. And then you get guys like me, and I go on, we call it guest entertainers, and we go on for a couple of days. And basically what they do is they pick you up somewhere, usually halfway through the cruise. They pick you up somewhere, and the next night you do 2 shows. You do one at 8 o'clock and one at 10 o'clock, and then the next day you get off the ship and you're gone, right? And we're not the most popular people on the ships usually because we get paid a lot of money to do this, and of course it's a really cushy assignment as to what we do. So we got on this one ship in Europe, and we did a cruise, and we were supposed to get off in the Canary Islands and go home. And has anybody ever been to the Canary Islands? You were born there. So you know, they don't have any canaries in the Canary Islands. Did you know that? The funny thing about that was that the following week, we were in the Virgin Islands. Some of you are getting ahead of the game here. Guess what? They don't have any canaries there either. I tell you. So we're in the Canary Islands, right? And we're supposed to go back. And then the cruise director came and said, would you mind staying on? He said, this particular ship, he said, we've got a whole change of staff going on when this next cruise is done. We're just going to the Caribbean. You know, you can stay on, you can keep your, because they treat us nice, right? We get guest cabins. They don't stick us in the bowels of the ship. We get beautiful guest cabins, and we're allowed to go anywhere on the ship we want, you know? And we're allowed to do anything they want. They pay for it all, right? Except for one thing, they don't pay for booze. Miserable devils. They don't pay for the booze. And if you've been on a cruise ship, you'll know why. Because that's where they make their bloody money, right? You know, if you've been on a cruise ship, they've got it smart now. They give you these little cards, right? Looks like a credit card, you know. It's all pretty. It's got the name of the cruise on it. And you go to the purser or whatever, and you load it up with money. And every time you buy a drink, you put your card in, right? Well, what happens is at the end of the ship, when you come to come to look at your actual bill, right, it's like thousands of dollars. 'Cause every time you like that, it's about $20 for a drink, you know? That's how they make their money. But I digress. So we agreed to stay onto the ship, and it was really nice because for once we actually got to meet all the kids and all the other people normally that live on the ship. We don't normally get to socialize much with, you know, because we're there and we go. So we got to stay on this ship for, you know, for quite some time. And we got to meet all these guys. And the reason we got to meet them all is because we spent pretty much all our time that particular week in the crew bar, right? Because in the crew bar, when you cha-ching, it's only $1 for a drink. Aha. So we spent a lot of time down there. And we got to know a lot of the other entertainers. And in particular, we got to really know this magician, young guy, Michael from England. And Michael was a wonderful magician. And his thing, his gimmick for his show was this. At the end of each of his performances, he would do a trick that he'd never done before. Usually something really impressive and amazing. And he'd always pull it off, right? So we're there on the final night of the cruise, and as I said, all these kids are getting off. So the crew bar is like, it's just jam-packed. I mean, it's loud as hell. Everybody's like this, you know. And we're talking to Michael, and we're asking him, listen, Mike, what are you going to do for your last trick of the cruise? And he said, I tell you, he said, I got something planned. He said, I'm going to hypnotize the entire audience at the same time. Now, this is 1,500 people in the auditorium, right? So he said, whoa, you know, Mike, you've impressed us. You know, you really don't have to do anything like that. He said, no. He said, actually, let me tell you about hypnotism. He said, hypnotism is actually a lot easier than you think. And the key to hypnotism is you have to have something that people will focus on, that they can't help but look at, right? And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out this beautiful 1920s pocket watch, like gold and ivory and stuff, belonged to his great-great-grandfather, priceless thing. And he pulls it out, right? And he starts swinging it backwards and forwards. And the crew bar went silent, like so quiet, you could hear a mouse pee on a sponge, quiet, right? And he's there going, and we said, Mike, stop, you're hypnotizing the whole bar, mate. We believe you, you know. So anyway, so he comes to his performance, you see, and we go along to watch it. And he does all his magic tricks, right? And he comes to the end of the show and he's about to do his thing, you know. And this is how it goes down. He says words like this. He goes, ladies and gentlemen, I am now about to do my final trick of this particular cruise. And I do tell you, this is a very, very difficult trick. I've said I've never done it before, but it could be a brand new Guinness World Record. What I'm going to do tonight, I am going to attempt to hypnotize all 1,500 people of the audience tonight. He said, now, it is of vital importance that you do not take your eyes off my beautiful 1920s Rolex pocket watch that formerly belonged to my great-great-grandfather. Pulls it out, starts swinging it backwards and forwards. And if you've been to a hypnotism show, you know what happens next, right? They go through that routine. It's the same one they all do, right? They go, you're getting very sleepy. The words you hear, the voice you hear will be mine and mine alone. You will do exactly as I say. You are now under my command. Bark like a dog. 1,500 people went, rah, 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 rah. Jump in the air. 1,500 people all jumped at the same time. And they hit the ground at the same time. And the ship went, poof. And that was a mistake because he dropped the pocket watch and it smashed all over the floor. And he said, shit! For those of you still thinking about that, let me just say that it took a week to clean the boat up, okay? So you can decide which one of those stories are true and which ones aren't. And that's it. That's my story. There you go. How about that? My time is up.